Hello, welcome to the next webinar during the Simulate User Summit. It's What's New in Advanced Design 2024.1 webinar. My name is Mateusz Budziński. I'm a product line manager for the structural software in Gretek. I live in Kraków, Poland, and today I will have a pleasure to show you some novelties from the last update of Advanced Design. The agenda is simple. The main part is for showing main novelties and improvements to advanced design. Next, shortly about our plans for the next release, and then some interesting, I hope, facts about the work of the R&D team. I will start with the presentation of novelties. I will show the major ones, and the rest of the improvements are described in the What's New document, of course. The first point is the last version of the Canadian building standard that is now implemented. It brings major changes in the area of wind loads and seismic calculations. This version of the standard is now the default choice for the Canadian locations, and changes are related mainly to the database with wind pressure values, to the database with seismic data for locations, and main changes are related to seismic calculations. The next novelty is about making work easier and faster. So starting with this version, we can define edge releases on surface elements graphically. For this, we have a special new command on the ribbon, and when it's called, then we can select edges one by one to select the release we want. I will show you on the real model, or really it's just an example model, how it works. Maybe I will show first how it works earlier. For example, if I select any planar element that I wanted to define, I don't know, on this long edge, some kind of release. So far, the only one way was to go to the property list, change the type to the order, and select and open the dialog. On this dialog, we are able to find the number of the edge to define the type of the releases. For example, I will select the pin, and yes, it's defined. You can see it's there on the edge. Now we can do it much easier and faster. So there is a new command on the ribbon. When it's called in the first step, we need to select what kind of the release we want to define. So either we select one of the predefined, or we can define from the scratch data of the linear release. Maybe for this example, I will select the pinned one. Okay. And now I can select just edge by edge. As you can see, I just click on the edges. I am pressing enter, and the releases are defined on that edges. Again, maybe I'll show you again, because I will select pin. What is important, I can define edges on many different slabs at once. And in cases there are some, for example, edges that are common for two planar elements, sometimes it's important to define, okay, this edge is on the left or on the right part. So it's on the wall from the left side or the right. It depends on the where the mouse cursor is pointed. So if I place it like that, the release is defined for this one particular planar element, as you can see here. Next point are changes to the user interface. Well, this version also includes next changes to the user interface, small changes to increase the clarity, to modernize it, and unify the appearance of some dialogues. So there are 3 points I want to show. The first one are new icons in the project browser, which are now unified, more readable, are just changed to have a new look. The second change is related to dialog windows. Yeah. So we continue the work on updating dialogues, and now another set of almost 20 dialog windows has been updated, giving them a unified appearance. The layout and content of the windows have usually remained unchanged. The modifications concern the appearance and the update of the software components we use. And the third change to the user interface is related to report generator window. As many other windows, it was refreshed, so you use new technology, new icons, and so on. But also we provided some ergonomic changes like better positioning of commands. Now we can easily change the size of the window. As well, we added new icons with commands to manage the layout of the report. I will really quickly show how it looks on the advanced design. So maybe I'll skip new icons on the project browser because it's a small point. Also, changes to the user interface related to dialogues. If I select, I don't know, I'm trying to find some dialogues that are updated. Yes, on still design part, for example. If I select any dialogue, maybe it's hard to show the changes because to show it, it will be better to show in parallel the oldest version. But anyway, there are new programmer components used and the new look. So we try to have all dialogues using the same look and the same technology. What I wanted to show a little bit more details are the report generator dialog. It's open on the second screen. Yes, the content is more or less the same. The changes are related to different kind of new icons on the top, on the bottom. Layout is different. Maybe I will show some examples. I load the report template, some of default. Of course, I can define in my template and save it. And if I want to change something, I don't know, the name, I can just click on the icon to rename. If I want to go to the properties, yes, I can just use that icon to open the property window for that dialog. Of course, it was possible in using the right-click menu earlier, but now it's easier and more convenient to use the icon directly from here. So as you see, it's really easy to change and update, in fact, the report components there. I mentioned that if it's easy to resize the dialog. If the report is really long, now we can adapt the dialog also easily. Next major point is a set of several new commands related to modeling multi-story buildings. The first related functionality are commands for quick renumbering. The reason is simple. As when we work, we add, remove systems. At the end, we want to have uniform numbering, not only to keep things in order, but also to make it easier to find and organize our documentation. So we can now renumber the systems according to two different methods by tree level. It's method that numbers the systems in tree level order. First the main systems, then their subsystems, then their subsystems. So 1, 2, 3 in that order. The by main system method numbers the subsystems using prefixes from the number of the main system. I will show you in a moment how it works. Uh, the second new option related to systems are in fact three new commands and are mainly useful for easy modeling of multi-story buildings. The first command allows for easy copying the system tree, useful when we want to have the same subsystems on a new level as previously defined for another level. Second command is to copy a system with the content. Means we can select a level and easily create a multi-story building where all elements that were copied are ordered and assigned to the same subsystems as the initial one. And the third command is similar one to the previous. It's for quick duplicating levels. I will show you that changes using another simple model. I've created a model with two levels, two main systems having several subsystems. Maybe I will start with renumbering. Now systems have different numbers are not in the order. If I want to change this, I can right click on the structure and select the command renumber. There are two methods. By main system, it means when I run it, all the systems will be renumbered using the as a prefix the number of the main system. So as you see, 1 is for level 1, but 101 for subsystems 102. So all started with 100. The same approaches for the second level. If I run the renumbering using the by tree level method, for the first level, so it means the main systems, we use numbers 1, 2, 3, and so on. If the main system ends, then we calculate starting from the next number, subsystem, and so on. Okay, and here's how to copy levels. The easiest way is to right click on the level you want to copy, call the command, new command, copy system with content, and I select it. The dialog for multiple copy is visible. Now I can define the vector and number of copies I want. As you see, the model is created. But what is more important when we look on the new levels created, there are systems having the same subsystems as the initial one, as the one selected for copy. In case systems are defined as levels, because there is a possibility to define system as levels, I can easily select any level and just call the command duplicate level top. So without any dialogues for copying, as you see, the level was duplicated and placed on the top of the structure. So it's another method for fast, quick defining next levels. Next two points are related to steel design calculations with using Eurocode free rules. The first novelty is the next method for checking webs of eye sections for the shear buckling according to Eurocode free. This check is important especially when we calculate high plated eye sections. With the previous 2024 release, we introduced the effective width method, and now we added a possibility for running the verification using the reduced stress method. Some national annexes recommend using one of the above methods, but both can be used in general. With the new reduced stress method in advanced design, we can check the influence of transversal but also longitudinal stiffeners. And I will show you again using the model. So it's a simple frame, and First, maybe I'll check the still design settings. So on the settings dialog, on the verification tab, there are two options on the bottom to select the method of the plate web backlink according to Eurocode. So the new one is the reduce stress method. Now when I select the element and I will go to the design properties, I can check the properties on the web backlink group. I will activate this kind of the check. Then I can, I will activate also the definition of the transversal stiffeners. So I will add several ones. Maybe I will not add manual because there are some other elements. So I will try to use the auto detect method. Yes, okay, that's the location of stiffeners I want to define on the beam. And what is important, with this version I can select, with this method I can select the longitudinal stiffener, so I can enable, I can select what is the number of that stiffeners, position, so what is the relative position from the bottom of the web, and other parameters of that stiffener. Then, of course, I can run the calculation. I will do the static calculation for that simple frame. And then I will just select the element. I will run the still design for this particular element. After calculation, I can go to the dialog of results, and when I go to the cross-section strength parameters on the bottom, we see the share backlink of the web parameters results with the main verification result. In this case, the work ratio is not so big. I can show more details on the detail report. Again, yes, the work ratio is not very high, but anyway, I can see the main results there. By the occasion, you can see the dialog or shapesheet dialog. It's improved, so it's another one of the dialogs. We improve the look. Okay, I will go to the next point. The second point to still design is related to imperfection generation. Now we can choose if imperfection forces are generated for automatically selected or for all load combinations. Why? Advanced design usually applies the imperfection forces only to the only on the combinations from which the imperfection forces are the highest. However, in rare and specific situations, especially after the second order analysis, it might be that the more critical for street checks might be some combinations that include smaller imperfection forces. It's rare but possible. For this reason, advanced design gives now the choice to apply imperfections on all combinations and not only on governing combinations. Of course, it has the impact on calculation time, as defining imperfection forces in both directions for all combinations will multiply the total number of combinations used for design check, of course. I will show you quickly how it works. So it's a really just small example. There are still elements, and for that elements on the property list first, the imperfections are activated. Yes, and then when I go to the still design settings, you can see that by default imperfection generations using that new options are set to for governing combinations. Going back to the model, there are almost 30 lot combinations, and I will run calculation with the still design. So after the calculation, we see that when it comes to the list of loads, there are added 3 additional load cases. based on load case combination 104 and 120. Well, yes, and there are 8 new load combinations using in local bow imperfections. If you want, I can display loads, maybe not from the static cases, but from selected. So yes, the lockable imperfection from based on the combination 112. What will happen if I change the settings? So now I want to do, I want to generate local bow imperfections for all combinations in that case. Okay, we'll see. I will run still design check. Advanced design is asking me if I want to remove the old additional load cases from the imperfections. Yes. Yes, calculations are longer because, as you will see in a moment, we have a lot of more load cases for local imperfections. So for each load case, there are new, for each load combination, we get another load case with forces, and as a consequence, you have a lot of new load combinations. Of course, it's only important when there could be some examples when the forces, especially for the second order calculations, may influence on the final results of the imperfections, even if the values are smaller, can have an influence on the final design results. The cost is the longer time of the calculation and the bigger number of release of load combinations, but then we are sure that each possible case is taken into account. In this version, we have four very useful new features related to the graphical display of results. I will start with a small improvement related to subpart reactions. Now we can easily select directly from the ribbon two new items, all forces for simultaneous displaying forces reactions in all directions, and all moments for also displaying direction values for all moments. So there are just new positions on the list from the ribbon. The next improvement to displaying results are new display modes for planar elements. One of the existing earlier modes is the display of values based on user-defined results grid. This grid is independent on the finite element of the mesh, of course. So far, this allowed us for displaying the values only. Now there are three new entries for simultaneous presentation of the values and the associated color from the scale. It's useful, especially for preparing the documentation. And in case of the reinforcement results, we can also simplify the manual definition of the reinforcement, because now we can easily see the values and the colors using our grid, so the grid defined with the sizes of the grids defined by us. The next improvement to displaying results is related to results from design checks, like work ratios. It's a new option on the results settings to decide if show or not values on nodes of linear elements. So it's just to see less values on the screen. In most cases, displaying values only for finite elements is sufficient. And the last novelty related to displaying results are new groups with working ratios in the ribbon. we added a new maximum work ratio group to results from steel and timber design calculations. So now we can easily and really quickly select for displaying either the maximum work ratios from all performed checks or maximum work ratio from each verification category. To present this, I'm using another model. As you see, there are some steel and timber elements. It's already calculated. So I will start with support reactions, yes. Forces, if I select only one entry of, I should see, yes, I see the values from for on one direction, but there are two entries. So if I select all forces, I will be able to see all the forces support reactions displayed at once. Now I selected the values, but of course I can select different kind of displaying results. The next point are the results for steel and timber design. As you see, there is a new group by default is displaying is the max work ratio. If I just press display, we can see uh, the maximum work ratio from all possible checks. Of course, I can now easily select another position from the list. For example, one maximum work ratio for deflection, and we don't need to go for the classical way, checking the deflections and trying to find okay what is the maximum deflections in that list. So now we can just easily and fast find the values here. The same is for timber. If I want just to see the maximum work ratio from all checks that were performed, I can click this position or I can select another one depending on my needs. Okay. The next improvement is to help avoid problems with generating too many combinations. So sometimes we have the problem that if we define too many load cases, especially with live loads, the number of automatically generated combinations can be too high. Sometimes much too high than we expect. And the program might try to generate hundreds of thousands of even millions of combinations, and which can even end up with stopping the program. So that's why we can now set our own limit on the maximum number of combinations. The default is the 50,000, and if the expected number of combinations exceeds the limit, because the check is performed during when we start generating the combinations, then the warning message is shown, and we can decide if we stop or we continue the generation. Now we turn to changes related to drawings in design modules. The changes are various types, and I will start with a small improvement regarding the user experience, which is dynamic icons. So to give a faster access to the commands from the context menu, when we are working with the drawing components on a tree, such commands now easily accessible thanks to dynamically displayed icons. These icons are adaptive, means depending on the selection of a tree, we see only related commands. The next point to drawings is about possibility for easy changing font sizes. The font settings are stored on Autodesk template files, DWG files, or sorry, but now we can easily override font sizes using a special dialog. So it's now really easy and quick to change the settings. The next point to drawings is about easy addition of the content of the drawing title blocks. We can easily replace the logo picture by own picture just using right click command. We can also edit by delete, removing or moving title block components direct on the drawings. and then save that changes as a new template. Again, I will quickly present the changes. So it's one of the modules. I open it as a standalone. I will go to the drawings and I will start with, yes, icons. So as you see, when I click on the tree, there are new icons for options like duplicate, rename, save, the view, and they are according to that can be different depending on the selected objects. What is more important is about the settings. As you see, there are some views with the names and fonts you define using the drawing templates. I can change the template. Now is the template default one, but without doing addition of the DWG files, I can change settings right now. It's just by clicking new icon and changing some settings like, for example, I will increase the size of the dimension lines. Maybe it will looks not very nice, but it's just to see the difference. So I change the font size for the dimension lines. The another improvement is related to the title block. Now I can easily change, remove, or change the position of some objects, lines, texts. So in fact, I can edit the title block and to create my own template of the title block, and also I can easily change the logo. So it's a new picture. I can just put in the place of the previous one, and then when I finish it, I can easily save the title block as a new template. I will switch back to the presentation because the next point are also related to the drawings, is related to RC slab module. You can now generate formworks views for RC slabs. It's an additional top view of a slab without reinforcement, but with elements descriptions. Using new options, we can select the type of the display descriptions. We can also add manually dimension lines to get the final formal drawings. And again, I will use another example. It's a simple slab on advanced design. I will open it in the module. Yes, I need to calculate it first. Yes, I'm using some default settings. You can see the reinforcement and the top and bottom layers. But no, I will switch directly to drawings because in addition to views, plans, I can now easily add a new view. It's a formwork plan. As you see by default, it's displayed with some scale, with some kind of text. I can change the way the opening is displayed. I can switch off some descriptions. Of course, I can always add dimension lines, and it's just up to me where the lines are, how the lines are defined. So having this is just another new view type that I can use on the when preparing final drawings. Okay. And the last point to drawings is about drawings generated by the RC wall module. Previously, when a group of walls was analyzed, we are not able to generate drawings. The drawings were only available for walls analyzed individually. Now we can generate drawings for each single wall from a group of walls, especially a group of shear walls, but not only. and get the corresponding view with the reinforcement schedules as for single walls. But note there is a limitation on the release. Not bars, like that four vertical bars on the right down picture, are not included in such drawings, so we should add such bars manually when we edit when we edit such drawings on CAD software. And I will show you again on the model. I open the RC wall module. There is some group of walls already calculated, and when I go to the drawings part, we can see reinforcement drawings for each of the individual wall. So for each wall, we can see all the reinforcement bars, and it's possible to export this to the DWG, for example, and add additional bars if we want. But anyway, now it's possible just by one click on the drawings to generate drawings for each wall from the group. And now just a few slides about other selected improvements and novelties to design modules. I will start with RC wall module again. In the case of shear walls that are analyzed using the finite element model in advanced design, and then when are transferred open in the RC wall module, now the seismic parameters are now transferred from advanced design to RC module. So all different kinds of parameters from the seismic load families are accordingly transferred to the design assumption dialog for seismic design part. The next improvement is related to RC footing and RC column modules, and it's related to transferring load cases to Excel spreadsheets. Now the data transfer is intelligent and based on the case ID numbers. Thanks to the identification of load cases by the ID number, we have complete freedom to edit values on the Excel site. We can delete or add new cases without thinking about the order of the rows. And then we can just import values and cases back without any problems. And a few words about changes to the steel connection module. There are many small improvements, and I will just mention two categories. First category are improvements to welded truss joints. As we remember, such joints were added to the last 2024 release, and with this update, we improved and extended the calculations. We fixed various errors, and we extended the report with additional content. And the second category are improvements to defining and displaying of welds. We can now define parameters of the weld on sandwich plate for bracing connections. When defining welds on base plate connections, we can now set restrictions to avoid accidental disabling necessary welds. So it's much easier now. And we also improve the representation of welds on views, just to have a better view of welds. That's all about the latest version 24.1. Of course, you can find more information on other novelties in the watching document, because as I said at the beginning, there are a lot of other smaller, bigger, maybe not bigger, but there are a lot of small improvements. Now, a very brief presentation of our plans for the advanced design for the next year. But before I start, an important note: the list of plans is not a promise. I cannot promise that all given novelties will appear in the next version. For various reasons, in the coming months, we may modify this list. We may postpone some items to the later date, but also we can add another points. So the list is not the final one. Yes, modeling. I, there are two big points. The first one are composite steel beams. So the modeling possibility to define composite steel beams is I think the biggest change that we expect for the next release. Also, we should be able to edit slab stiffnesses by using factors. So it's important for various kinds of orthotropy slabs. For steel design area, we want to provide design or defined double C code form sections, so design checks according to a special Eurocode for that kind of section. For timber, there are 2 points, bigger points, possibility to design variable beams, and for frames, calculation of deflections using special rules for national appendix from frames. For concrete, punching verification of ends of walls, and possibility to edit young modules for reinforcing steel to allow uh, calculating reinforcement with non-typical reinforcement. For design modules, for masonry wall module, we want to include the calculation of confined masonry. For RC footing module, we want to define reinforcement with using fabrics. And when it comes to the drawings, another way of presenting annotations is the horizontal annotation for bar marks. Of course, that version will include a lot of user requests. That just few selected, so possible to save template from the right-click menu, so just too easy and faster to do it. We will be able to define panel object by using 2 points again for typical rectangular slabs. It just will be easier to define them. We want to add visualization of foundational model, new options for displaying maximum minimum values on the result tables. They are just examples of smaller user requests, and we will continue improving the version with that list, another request. And there are other points. We want to improve the report component, update the import of the IFC files. We want to have the help file, unlike help file in local languages, as I will mention in a while about the new translation system. So we want to move on that direction also. And also the point related to licensing, we want to allow users to have a license, a name license, so user accounts based on the emails. Not that some points will be implemented for specific national standards, for example, timber improvements or climatic loads, because we also, maybe it's not on the list, we also want to define some new kind of loads will be according to Eurocode rules. The list is not covering all the plans, of course. From the other side, we might be forced to postpone some of the above points, as I said before. We'll see. Anyway, that's the overview for the next release. And then the last point of my webinar is related to people and tools used for providing you all such novelties. I will start with a short explanation what R&D means, because it's news from the R&D team. R&D means research and development team. It's a team of engineers that is directly involved in developing software. The research and development part of Gretec can be split into 3 groups. Product management team, so structural engineers that prepare plans of the development, they monitor the progress, do the technical research specifications. The other group is the technical support team, so structural engineers again, that are specialists that are close to the programmers. They're doing support, doing testing our software analysis, and of course software development team, so there are mainly programmers that are doing the most important part of the coding. What's new? One of the internal novelty is that this year we developed and started to use a new internal online translation system. It's used for translating all text from our software. but also documentation we produce, what's in documents. It it gives us new possibilities and allow us easy collaboration. Uh, I hope it will not help only us, but also bring better outputs visible to all of our customers. But anyway, it's a new tool and we have much better control now. Another point I want to mention is the automatic test system we use. The system is our internal tool that can perform automatic tests based on the pre-scripted tests. Such test runs automatically and compare actual results with the expected results. This year, we again expand the number of the tests, and what is important, we change the way the tests are run. So I will not go too much into details. We can now run this test anytime. In fact, tests are run each week. Each week when we generate internal development version. So this allows us to make sure that the changes we are doing on the code not cause unwanted problems, bugs. So it's starting to be most important point in our daily work, running and checking the auto tests. Yeah. Okay, that's all. That's all for today. I hope you found some nice novelties on that update. I want to thank you for watching and say goodbye.